All right, lovers, let's talk a little bit about one of the upgrades that I made to the Poseidon X. Thank you for getting in the comment section, my friends. This one definitely helped out when someone asked me about my crankset. And you know, I've talked about my handlebars in specific that I put on the Poseidon. I made a video about that one. I ended up getting those off Amazon. They're like a mimic of the H-bar, the Jones bars. Crankset. I'm glad someone noticed because I really do like this crankset. I ended up getting this crankset from AliExpress. It's called the Litepro, that 130 BCD. That's the spacing of the bolts that you're going to put in and for the chain ring that you're going to find. And if you look at the crankset, it has 5 bolts in it. So ultimately, you have to be really specific when you look for your chain ring. I went ahead and tried to find a narrow wide that was 40 teeth. That would be 130 BCD. And so that was the way I was able to match them up. I think I got the 170 millimeter. I've definitely been on a kick where shorter crank arms. I feel like I've always thought about that. Mainly one of my concerns is as a gravel rider, if you're riding on uneven surfaces and the pedal striking that can happen. And so that really made me even further think, I want to not tend to get as long a crankset as possible, even though I am, I guess, a taller rider because I tend to ride the XL or whatever the bigger size frames. But I do put that seat post up a little bit. I guess you'd have to sacrifice a little bit of inches or millimeters for however many millimeters shorter you made those crank arms. But 5 millimeters of your post down, or even to 10, a whole centimeter, it's not a big deal. So, I've thought about going to like 165s, even though I am a taller rider. And in the past, I think taller riders were told to get longer cranks. And I've heard a lot of other channels talk about that too. So I guess that's given me confidence to kind of think over time I would make those shorter. But I got to put the highlights on the bike, so that rainbow crankset was just like calling my name, you know what I mean? Like I had to represent. So colorful bike components. I don't mind bike components that are boring, you know what I mean? But I definitely if I can go garish and loud, even though that can draw attention if you don't want to get your bike stolen or whatever. But ultimately, I had to get it. And so with the chain ring, I also wanted, if I could, get a colorful one. I found one that was red, so I thought that looked fire. And then the red pedals to go. And I was like, okay, this is this is the look right here. So yeah, so all that stuff was on AliExpress. And the pricing that I have on this screenshot is like $27.32, but you have to go through the things. I got the one with the bottom bracket, but then I ended up installing it incorrectly. So I feel like a piece of the bottom bracket, a seal from the bottom bracket, fell off, and I just didn't know what it was, so I misplaced it, and I never was able to recover it. But I tried to put the bottom bracket on anyway, and I didn't put the crankset on right, and it was a whole mess. And so I ended up having to take it to the shop and buy a bottom bracket from them, which was pretty much the price. I think it was more than the price of like the whole thing of the Litepro. So, but whatever, was it worth it? I mean, the crankset's nice, you know what I mean? I love it, and I love the 1x system, as you know. We got the Poseidon Triton in, and that has a 2x, a sword micro shift with 2x10 with a nice wide range. So I'm looking forward to that. But, ultimately, this one has really worked for the type of bike that I have and what I need it for. With this 2x now, it's going to be more about speed. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. But ultimately, yeah, that's what that crankset is. So thanks for getting in the comment section and asking about that, because I definitely wanted to talk about it. So we'll talk to you soon. We'll be out with our Poseidon video where we're going to be reviewing the Triton and just letting you know what it was like to put together and everything, what it was like to ride it. So we'll talk to you soon.